Well, as we said, Van Nistelrooy has just 2 games left in interim charge before Amorim joins. Joining us now, our chief reporter, Kaveh Solokol. Kaveh, I said this to Sue Smith, so I'll ask you the same question. Has expectation after last night gone through the roof at Old Trafford in a game they didn't even play in?
Well, look, I think expectations are always very, very high at Manchester United. But I think the vast majority of United supporters are realistic about where the club is at the moment. They also know that Ruben Amorim has a very, very big job on his hands. So, yes, any of those United fans who watched the game last night will have been pleased with what they saw, especially in the second half. But I don't think too many of them will be getting carried away. I think they would have been very impressed, actually, with the way Amorim has conducted himself over the past couple of weeks, because this has been a difficult situation for him, but he's been the perfect gentleman. And I think you saw the extraordinary bond he has with his players last night at the end of the game. Those were very emotional scenes for him, his final home game as sporting manager. And also the bond he has with the supporters, because some supporters were unhappy that he was leaving during the season. But I think they have come round to his way of thinking. They know that this is an incredible opportunity for him. And you saw that at the end, the way they were applauding him and how emotional he got as well. So, look, let's not get carried away. This is somebody who's only been a manager for something like 5 years. But so far, so good. Every challenge that he's faced, he's risen to. But of course, the size of the challenge at Old Trafford is going to be much bigger than anything he has so far faced. But I think the people in power at United are quietly confident that they've got the right man for the job. And my personal opinion is he's the best man who they possibly could have got at the moment.
Interesting you say the sporting fans applauded him, probably still on side after what was a fantastic win for them. Will they still be on side if come the January transfer window he nicks their star striker?
Well, I think we've got to be fair to Ruben Amorim because obviously he knows what a great striker Viktor Gyokeres is. But I don't see Amorim pushing for Manchester United to sign him in January. I think he spoke about Gyokeres after the game last night and he made it clear that he's got too much respect for Sporting to try and go back to Lisbon and sign Gyokeres to take him to Old Trafford in January. I don't think United have got the finances to be able to do that kind of deal in January either. Gyokeres has got €100 million release clause. That's about £80 million. I think Sporting would probably let him go for a little bit less than that. I don't think they would stand in his way if a really, really big major European club came in for him. But you don't need me to tell you that a lot of clubs have been looking at him. This is a guy who really reignited his career when he moved to Coventry, had a brilliant season in the Championship, went to Sporting, has got an incredible scoring record. I think he's a top scorer in Europe so far this season. So, yes, of course, he's going to be linked with clubs like Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United. But I don't see him leaving in January. Remember, Sporting are top of the league. They're going for the title again. They're also second in the Champions League table as well. So I don't see him leaving in January. But maybe next summer, I'm pretty sure he would do very well at most top Premier League sides. And I think there's going to be a lot of competition for his signature. But let's respect Sporting because he's got a contract at Sporting. They've just lost their manager. Let's not talk Viktor Gyokeres out of the club just yet.
Oh, a lot of respect for Sporting. Kaveh Solokol.
In English.
Wow, congratulations, Alex. Our agreement. I just wondered how you feel tonight. That send-off from your players, that send-off from, I know you've got another game, but tonight at home from the fans. And what message does that send to the Premier League, that performance?
Yeah, it's misleading. Like I was saying, we were very lucky today in the game. So, but the feeling with my players, the way they celebrate this win, the moment with the fans, was very, very special. So I take this to Premier League. When I arrive there, it's a different world, a different pressure. I will try to be the same. So will be fun, very fun, and I'm ready for the challenge.
Thanks for your help this week and your understanding.
Yeah.
In the game coming up tomorrow in Europe, it's a European night at Old Trafford against the Greek champions, second in the league current. So I have to honestly say that I feel the responsibility to do well over the next week, and that's my job. So please, don't how do I say it? I'm focused on that and on the others. As I said, I welcome Ruben. Happy here to help him, and that's the situation for the moment.
Just wondering on the subject of injuries, Tyrell Malacia, how he's progressing, and when we're likely to see Luke Shaw, Kobbie Mainoo, and Harry Maguire again.
Well, different cases, all of them. Tyrell is the furthest in the moment. He's part of team training for a couple of weeks now, fully in team training, no restrictions. So it's good for him to plan game minutes. Maybe in the under 21s, we have to see. And the others are still. Harry's still inside, working on his rehab, and Luke also does pitch work like he did today. And he's progressing there to also, do partial team trainings hopefully soon.
Eric often mentioned, well, we often ask him about the injury issues that kind of derailed much of last season, and that he was looking into it, the club were looking into it. Was there ever a resolution as to what the issue was with the muscle injuries and things that were being picked up?
Well, I think no. I don't know. I couldn't comment on that. For me, it's important, as I said, that I'm focusing on the players that are currently fit, and that's my job. Manage them as good as I can. Obviously, it wasn't an easy period over the last week, but I think the players reacted really well with the Leicester game and also in the Chelsea game, and we're looking to build on that. And yeah, that's why I'm so focused on today and tomorrow to do well for the short spell that I'm responsible for this football club, and I take that as a big responsibility.
Hi, there's a question for Andre. Obviously, you worked with Erik ten Hag at Ajax. Why do you think it didn't work out at Man United, and how did you feel when you learned that he was leaving?
Well, when I heard he was leaving, obviously I feel bad. It's not always easy for players to understand when the manager is leaving, but at the end of the day, the club have to make a decision and we have to follow. Yes, I work with him. He's a good manager. I have a very good relationship with him. And why things didn't work here? We didn't win enough games, so it's so simple. And high level, it's not easy. Sometimes you have to pay the price. And fortunately, it was him. But we did everything. Players give everything. We work hard. We try our best, but it just didn't work.
Neil.
Ruud.
Could we just wait for the microphone?
Oh. Yeah.
I could.
Okay. Ruud, we saw what Ruben did with Sporting Lisbon last night. Is there enough here for him to replicate that sort of thing at Manchester United? Enough here in the squad, do you believe?
Like I said just now, I'm so focused at the present here. To comment on that is for me is very difficult and hardly impossible because I'm really putting everything, all my energy in with the current squad, all the players. Like I said, all the injured players.
I'm just asking about the strength of this current squad.
Yeah, no. So that's why to relate it to his playing style and all of that. That's for me is a question that I can't answer because I'm so focused on the players here and getting results going tomorrow and on Sunday in the Premiership, which are vital 2 games for the season. And I think I'm doing the new manager the best favour to do that. And later, like I said in all my interviews, I'm here to help the club and him. And I think that comes across, that came across, and see when communication can start about the future.
And just on Manchester United in Europe, it always had such a rich heritage, as a former manager called it, but not so much in the last 10 years. Why do you think a club of this size has failed in Europe in the last 10 years?
Well, I think it's a big question for me to answer why it didn't work over the last 10 years. For me, it's important, and that's the reason why I arrived at the club, is to help the club and build to those years again where there were successful times in Europe. Obviously, there was the Europa League final, if I remember well, with Oli. There was the Europa League win with Mourinho. So was that in the last 10 years?
Yeah, it was.
So I think that's big European successes. So in that sense, it's always Manchester United is always there to compete in Europe, and that's what we want as well. And that starts again tomorrow.
Well, the focus that you've just been talking about, obviously these next two games are very important. But has it been quite hard for you to focus and for the players to focus? Because it's only human nature for the players to look beyond that and think, how am I going to fit in under the new manager? What's the new team going to look like? Has it been quite a challenge for you to keep the focus on these next two games?
Well, I think last week before the Leicester game and before the Chelsea game, I think it was even harder because obviously things are changed quickly and massively. So to manage that was I think a bigger task. Now things sort of calm down, and we're focusing on the two performances where we were confident about and can build on. But again, it's about tomorrow that we play with the same passion and commitment, and then with the home support, and we can get to our best.
Beth.
Question for Andre. Did you happen to watch the Sporting Lisbon game last night? And if you did, how do you think these players will suit the new manager, Ruben Amorim's style? And do you think they'll be able to adapt to that high intensity that he plays?
Can you repeat, please?
Did you watch the Sporting Lisbon game last night against Manchester City? And if you did, how do you think the current Manchester United players will adapt to his style? Obviously, it's different to what we've played so far this season, very high intensity.
Yeah, I did. I did watch a game yesterday. Great victory from there, by the way. Different system, but my players, my teammates, we are all pragmatic now. I think everyone here is capable to play in each system, so I don't think this will be any issue for us. We have big players, so they will step up.
And then quickly, can I just ask Ruud as well? Obviously, you were a brilliant striker for Manchester United. Sporting, under the new manager, Ruben Amorim, have scored a lot of goals so far this season. Manchester United have struggled to create chances for the strikers, Rasmus Højlund and Joshua Zirkzee. Do you have any idea why that might be, why they're not getting as many chances as we'd expect?
I don't agree that we didn't create enough chances. I think if you look at the statistics, that we are one of the teams that's creating the most chances, and it's the conversion. And that's why I said I'm not worried, because we're creating the chances. And with the talent we have, and they're still young, not only the two that you just mentioned, but the others as well, there's lots of potential. I think when results will keep coming, confidence will rise, and that's the key thing in scoring goals, confidence.
Ruben Amorim joked that Manchester United fans might think he was the next Sir Alex Ferguson if Sporting produced an unlikely victory over rivals Manchester City. After a comeback like that, those comparisons may become irresistible. Such was the excitement after Sporting's 4-1 Champions League win over the Premier League champions, that it was hard even for the Man United social media team to contain it, as evidenced by a timely repost of the club's announcement of their new head coach. Amorim feared that such an eventuality might make life difficult for him when he arrives at Old Trafford, a place that has become a graveyard for managers since Ferguson retired in 2013. The new arrival doesn't want a false dawn before has even started. He sought to play the result down after the game. It's misleading. We were very lucky today, but the feeling with my players, the way they celebrate with the fans was very special. I take this with me, but when I arrive to the Premier League it is a different world, different pressure. Here, we take a look at what we learned about Amorim on Tuesday and what it might mean for United. If we focus on what went well for Sporting on Tuesday night, then one major reason for optimism among United fans was the second-half response from the Portuguese champions, who had looked remarkably like Erik ten Hag's side from earlier in the season for large spells of the first half, even if they did go in level at 1-1. Sporting initially appeared shell-shocked by the occasion of their departing head coach's final home game and the pressure under the spotlight of interested fans in England watching on, expecting big things. They needed something to help them rediscover their confidence. This was a big problem for Ten Hag at United. The team were so often slow starters under his reign, conceding 4 goals in the first 5 minutes of a half of football this season alone. Amorim, on this evidence a far more accomplished communicator, was able not only to calm down his side and restore order but inspire them to a flying restart, which caught City off guard. Gyokeres' first penalty of the night followed just 4 minutes later. That swift response turned the game on its head. United are calling out for some leadership, and while it is sorely needed on the pitch, the arrival of a coach that can inspire renewed confidence in his players surely comes as a positive. Amorim likes to play with a back 3, but for much of the game against City the hosts were shaping up with 5 at the back. This game was always going to be different to most matches Sporting play as champions in Portugal. So used to dominating, they had to adjust for Guardiola and City, masters of keeping the ball. Due to the limitations of the squad Amorim will inherit at United, this is likely to be a good insight into how he may have to begin his tenure in Premier League as he implements his system in a team used to playing with a back 4. In the early stages of his United career, especially in bigger games, do not be surprised to see Amorim settle for ceding possession and playing on the counter. Against City, Sporting were limited to less than 30% possession and won the penalty for their 3rd goal on the back of a quick transition. This feels like the way Amorim might approach things at Old Trafford. Rasmus Højlund, 21, has been the subject of a lot of criticism at United since signing from Atalanta for £72 million last summer and, perhaps unfairly at times, for failing to meet the lofty expectations put on him at such a young age. On the evidence of Sporting's game against City, Amorim's system demands a lot of the striker, raising concerns about how Højlund will cope in the short term. Gyokeres, one of the most informed strikers in Europe, with 23 goals in 17 appearances in all competitions after his hat-trick, was often isolated because of Sporting being penned in. He had to work hard to keep the City defenders occupied when his team was up against it. Højlund has shown flashes of a striker that can fulfill such a role. You only need to look back to his stunning individual run against Galatasaray in the Champions League last season to see that, but it will need a marked improvement to live up to Gyokeres. Beyond the hard work required, Højlund will inevitably face speculation about the Swede being signed to replace him and will need to show similar nerve to the Sporting striker, who missed a golden chance against City yet still ended the night with the match ball. When Jamie Carragher ran through what he thought Amorim's United side might look like on Monday Night Football, the big point of deliberation was who would play wing-back. Seeing the workload on those roles in Sporting's side against Man City, this is likely to be one of the first areas of the squad Amorim addresses when he gets the chance to make signings. When City were on top they kept finding joy down the wings, particularly Savinho, as he exploited the space in between Araujo, the left wing-back, and Mateus Reis, the left centre-back. Finding those spaces out wide is one of the first things opponents tend to do against a back 5, with the wing-back and centre-back often struggling to identify who should pick up the winger. But once the team had become more settled, the benefit of these players became clear. Just as they can struggle to identify who they should mark, the opposing team struggled to pick them up because of the positions they occupied. For Sporting's opener, 17-year-old Giovanni Quenda, the right wing-back, came inside, while Trincao, one of the number 10s operating in the 3-4-2-1 formation, pulled out wide, creating more space for the teenager, who played in Gyokeres for the equaliser against the run of play. And then for the second goal, left wing-back Araujo made a darting, underlapping run that no one from City was able to pick up and fired Sporting into the lead after a lovely through ball from Pedro Gonçalves. It seems that the wing-backs are among the most important players in an Amorim team, and United would not appear to have many obvious candidates for the role in their current squad.